The restaurant's chandeliers sparkled, sending waves of golden light across the polished marble floor. Soft music drifted through the air, mingling with the low hum of conversations. At a corner table, by the tall glass windows overlooking the city skyline, sat Amara Vance, the youngest CEO in the industry, though tonight, titles felt like a cruel joke. Her wheelchair was positioned perfectly, her silk dress cascading over her legs. She had chosen midnight blue, the color of power, the color that never betrayed nerves. And yet, her hand trembled as she adjusted the napkin in her lap. Her best friend had insisted she come. It's just a blind date, Amara. You deserve to laugh again. To feel normal. The word always left a bitter aftertaste. 3 years since the accident, 3 years since she had traded her stilettos for wheels. The boardroom never questioned her brilliance, but people, men, especially, saw the chair before they saw her. Tonight was supposed to be different. Tonight, she told herself, maybe someone would look past it. The maitre d' approached with a confident smile. Your guest will be here shortly, Ms. Vance. Amara gave a polite nod. She inhaled deeply, rehearsing the calm, composed mask she wore at corporate battles. But then the doors swung open. Her heart faltered. This was not what she had expected. The man who entered was clearly not the polished, suit-clad lawyer her friend had described. Instead, he walked in with grease-stained jeans, a plain black t-shirt, and a leather jacket slung over one shoulder. His boots clicked against the marble as though he didn't care that everyone turned to stare. He scanned the room, eyes searching. Rugged, untamed. His dark hair was tousled, his jaw rough with stubble. And then, his gaze landed on her. For a moment, Amara felt as if the air had been stolen from the room. He walked straight over, pulled out the chair opposite hers, and sat down without hesitation. No awkward stares at the wheelchair. No pity. Just a slow, disarming smile. Amara. His voice was deep, carrying a husky warmth that sent an unexpected shiver down her spine. Yes, she managed, trying to keep her tone steady. And you are, Logan. He leaned back, studying her with eyes that seemed to read more than she wanted to reveal. I know I'm not what you expected. That's accurate. She arched a brow, slipping into her CEO armor. My friend told me you were a lawyer. He chuckled, the sound low and unpolished, like gravel tumbling in rhythm. Mechanic, actually. I fix cars, not contracts. Amara blinked, caught off guard. This had to be a mistake, a mix-up. But before she could summon her assistant to double-check, Logan leaned forward. Listen, he said, resting his forearms on the table. I know I don't fit in here. His eyes flicked to the chandeliers, the glossy tables, the waiters in starched uniforms. But I figured, if someone wanted to meet me, I should at least show up. And now, sitting here, his gaze softened, locking on hers. I'm glad I did. Something in her chest stirred. It was small, fragile, like a crack of sunlight through heavy clouds. She should have dismissed him. She should have called her driver and left. But instead, Amara found herself smiling, tiny, reluctant, but real. And it startled her more than anything else that evening. The waiter placed 2 menus on the table, his practiced smile faltering just slightly as he glanced at Amara's wheelchair. Logan caught the flicker and, without breaking eye contact with her, reached for both menus. I'll read them out loud, he said casually, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Unless you already know what you want. Amara tilted her head, studying him. No one had ever done that, most men either. Stumbled over polite awkwardness or drowned her in exaggerated courtesy. But Logan's tone held no pity. Just ease. I know this place by heart, she said finally, her lips curving. It's my father's favorite restaurant. But go on, humor me. He began reading, his voice rolling over French names with charming inaccuracy. Every mispronounced syllable chipped at the walls she had built. Against her will, laughter bubbled at the edges of her composure. Bouille. What even is this? Logan frowned, holding the menu sideways as if a different angle would help. Who names soup like this? Can't they just say, seafood stew? A soft laugh escaped her lips before she could stop it. Heads turned at nearby tables, shocked that the icy CEO of Vance Corporation was laughing in public. You're butchering it, she teased, her shoulders shaking. It's bouillabaisse. Yeah, that, he smirked, closing the menu with a snap. I'll take a burger if they've got one. Something real. I don't trust food that sounds like it needs subtitles. Amara pressed a hand to her mouth, trying to smother the grin stretching wider than it had in years. Her heart hammered wildly. She wasn't supposed to feel this. Lightness, warmth, fun. The waiter reappeared, and Logan ordered without hesitation, completely unfazed by the curious glances around them. When Amara gave her order, she felt the waiter's gaze linger on her chair again, but before irritation could rise, Logan's voice cut in. So, Amara, he drawled, leaning forward, tell me. What's harder, being a CEO, or sitting through one of these fancy dinners? Her brows shot up, and for a second she thought he was mocking her. But his grin was mischievous, not cruel. Being a CEO, she replied coolly, slipping into her boardroom cadence. Every decision I make affects thousands of employees, investors, partners. Exactly, he interrupted, eyes sparkling. And yet you're sitting here, letting me make a complete fool of myself over soup. Seems to me you can handle just about anything. The compliment, so unexpected and raw, sent a strange ache through her chest. She looked away, her fingers tightening on her napkin. He didn't know her. He didn't know the nights she spent staring at her useless legs, the rage she buried behind polished smiles. He didn't know how exhaustion gnawed at her, how loneliness wrapped around her like chains. And yet, for the first time, she wanted someone to know. You make it sound simple, she murmured. Logan shrugged. I fix engines, Amara. Doesn't matter how broken they are, give me the right tools, a little time, and I'll get them running again. People aren't all that different. Her breath caught. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Not as a fragile symbol of tragedy. Not as an untouchable CEO. But as a woman. Someone who could be seen, and maybe even, repaired. The silence between them stretched, thick with something unspoken. Then Logan's lips curved. Besides, he added lightly, you've got the kind of smile that makes a guy want to try. Amara froze. She hadn't realized she was smiling again. And she didn't know whether to be terrified, or hopeful. The food arrived, but Amara barely noticed the plates being set before them. Her mind lingered on Logan's last words, the casual way he'd said them, as if her smile were the most natural thing in the world. For 3 years, she had trained herself to keep emotions sealed tight, smiles rationed, laughter tucked away. Yet here she was, her guard slipping with a man she had known less than an hour. She picked up her fork, careful to steady her hands. So, she said, breaking the silence, you're a mechanic. Logan cut into his steak with easy precision. That's right, own a small garage downtown. Nothing glamorous. Grease under my nails, busted knuckles, half the city's cars end up in my shop eventually. He looked up, his grin crooked. Not exactly CEO material, huh? Amara arched a brow. You sound almost proud of that. Why wouldn't I be? He asked simply. Engines don't lie. Either they run, or they don't. No boardroom politics, no investors breathing down your neck. Just honest work. The straightforwardness in his tone struck her. She lived in a world where every smile concealed an agenda, where every handshake was a negotiation. Logan's blunt honesty was foreign, disarming, and deeply unsettling. Still, she said, swirling her wine, most people would have walked out once they realized the mix-up. You don't strike me as the type who fits in here. You're right. He leaned back, unbothered by the stares from neighboring tables. I don't fit, but you do, and for some reason, sitting here with you, I don't feel out of place. Her throat tightened. No man had ever said that to her, not since the accident. Pity she could smell a mile away. Admiration was often mixed with opportunism. But Logan, his words were raw, unpolished, almost reckless in their sincerity. And that terrified her. You don't know me, she whispered. Then let me. His gaze locked on hers, steady and unwavering. The clink of silverware, the distant murmur of conversations, the violin's soft melody, everything blurred. All she could hear was her heartbeat pounding in her ears. Let me. 2 words that sliced through her defenses. For a moment, Amara wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe there was someone who could see beyond the wheelchair, beyond the CEO mask, beyond the walls she had built to protect herself. But the shadows of memory clawed back. The screech of tires. The blinding pain. The night her life had fractured into before and after. The man she'd been engaged to, who disappeared when she could no longer walk. Trust was a luxury she couldn't afford. Amara set her fork down and straightened her shoulders, slipping the mask of control back into place. "You should know," she said carefully, "I don't do fairy tales. Whatever this is, it won't be simple." Logan didn't flinch. Instead, he leaned closer, his voice low and steady. "Good. Simple's overrated." Her lips parted in surprise. He smirked. "Look, Amara, I'm not here to rescue you. I'm not here to feel sorry for you either. But I'll be damned if I let you sit across from me and pretend you don't deserve to be happy." Her chest constricted, emotions she had buried clawing their way up. For the first time in years, she couldn't summon a clever response. Instead, she looked down, her reflection shimmering in the wine glass. And against every instinct, against every scar, she felt the faintest flicker of hope. The kind of hope that terrified her more than despair ever had. The night air outside the restaurant was crisp, carrying the scent of rain that threatened but never fell. Amara's driver had already pulled the sleek black town car to the curb, waiting to escort her home. Normally, she would have slipped away quickly, efficient, guarded, untouchable. Tonight felt different. Logan walked beside her, hands tucked casually into his jacket pockets. He didn't hover, didn't rush ahead to open doors in a show of exaggerated courtesy. Instead, he matched her pace, slow and unhurried, as though he had nowhere else in the world he needed to be. When they reached the car, the driver moved toward her wheelchair handles, but Logan lifted a hand. "I've got it," he said simply. Amara stiffened. "That's not necessary." He crouched to meet her eyes, his expression calm, no trace of pity in sight. "Maybe not, but I'd like to." For a long moment, she hesitated. She had spent years fighting to prove her independence, to remind the world that she was still strong, still capable. Accepting help, even in something small, felt like surrender. Yet, in Logan's gaze, she saw no condescension, only quiet respect. Finally, she nodded. He moved with a mechanic's precision, careful and steady, guiding her into the car as though he were handling something priceless. When he folded her chair and stowed it in the trunk, she caught herself studying him through the window. The ease in his movements, the way he carried himself, it made her chest ache with something unfamiliar. When he slid into the seat beside her, he exhaled. "See, not so bad." She arched a brow. "You make it look easy." He grinned. "That's because it is. You just don't let anyone close enough to prove it." His words struck deeper than she wanted to admit. She turned her face to the window, the glittering skyline blurring against the glass. For years she had built walls so high even she sometimes forgot what lay behind them. Tonight, cracks had begun to show. The car hummed softly as they drove through the city. Logan leaned back, studying her in silence. Amara felt the weight of his gaze but refused to turn, afraid of what he might see if she let him look too long. Finally, he spoke. "You know, when I walked into that restaurant, I thought I was out of my depth. Wrong clothes, wrong place, wrong everything. But sitting across from you, I've never felt more like I belonged." Her throat tightened. "You don't even know me, Logan. Then give me the chance to." His voice was steady, not pleading, not demanding. Just certain. She closed her eyes. The words tugged at something fragile inside her, a part of herself she thought had been buried in the wreckage of her old life. The car slowed to a stop outside her building. The driver stepped out, but Logan reached across gently, his hand brushing hers. She flinched at the unexpected contact, then stilled. His touch was warm, grounding. "No pressure," he said softly. "But if you let me, I'd like to see you again." The easy confidence in his tone unraveled her carefully rehearsed defenses. Against all logic, against the voice in her head warning her not to hope, Amara found herself nodding. "Just once." Logan's smile widened, unguarded and real. "Good. Then it wasn't a disaster after all." As he stepped out to retrieve her chair, Amara sat frozen in the leather seat, her heart racing. She had walked, or rolled, into the evening expecting disappointment, another reminder of what she had lost. Instead, she found herself carrying something she hadn't felt in years. A dangerous, fragile, beautiful thing. Hope.